Well, good morning to everyone. It's an honor to be moderating this panel with this absolutely great talent. And so I would like to start jumping in directly to the questions in hand. We have, I don't think that we have a problem with talent. I think we have a problem with enhanced talent right now, like they mentioned before. And we're losing about 90 plus kinds of jobs that are going to disappear in the near future. But we also have a bright future that we think that either they're going to reshape or they're going to be created for new kind of talent and new kind of functions that we need in the industry. So I would like to start with a question, a general question to all of you. How do you see in the next 2 to 5 years that your sectors are going to be reshaped by the operational models of predictive business models, or the talent? Are we capable of upskilling, and retaining the talent that it's needed for the jobs of the future?
Right. Yeah. Hey, everyone. So, good question. I would start by just sort of bringing a bit more of context of what I do. We're a distributor of Mexican products in the US. So you can think of us as consumer packaged goods. And for sure, the famous, very much over-mentioned AI revolution is here. I would say that it's not something that I've seen take up as sharply as sometimes it's noted in news. I bet there's a bit of a, say, sensationalism over it. In the workplace, it seems like a lot of people are being faster at doing certain things. But I would say that top talent, meaning like the top percentile of workers or the better workers, are making much better use of it than the bottom percentile. So first thing I would say is that the hunt for talent and the need to capture like the best people that are out there, it's something that we're still going to be looking for, and we're still going to be dealing with in the foreseeable future, 2 to 5 years. At the same time, I do think that we need to level set the expectations of what our teams need to be doing with the AI, right? The do's and don'ts. I feel right now there's a lot of confusion, and I've seen people using it, I would say not the right way, to think instead of them, which is one of the, I think, not good use cases. But we definitely need to level set, right, and give them guidance and a platform on how to use it and how do we as a company want to integrate it. I feel right now it's very much something that's being explored, right? We're trying to use it in every aspect of our work life. I'm finding out that for some things it's really great and really scalable, but for some others it's probably not the best thing, right? And especially from a managerial position or a leadership position. That would be my take.
Thank you. For me, I agree with you that there is not a lack of talent. It's how we manage talent. As in Cinépolis, we see ourselves as a service company, so we rely on talent to provide our services. So we've been asking for the talent to adapt to new changes, to new tools, but we also need to see it on the other side. Us as a company, how we can also adapt to those old needs, and how can we allocate those resources and we create the correct paths for that talent to be retained in our companies. So I think the challenge is not just on the people, it's on the structure that we put in our companies to be able to retain and develop that talent towards the new needs. So I think it's twofold. One is how could we train them, but then from a company standpoint is how do we build path? How do we create that visibility for that talent to stay and continue developing our services?
For us, that we export to 20 different countries fresh berries from Jalisco and Michoacan, we believe that it's not a lack of talent. I think the challenge that we have is a scarcity of leadership. If you don't have the right culture, you cannot retain the people. Today, I can see a lot of young students and people that is wanting to participate on the agricultural sector, but if you don't have a purpose and a good intention, and for us, the most important part is to transform the life of the agricultural workers, I think that is what keep you with the people and the right talent. And some people probably doesn't connect with that purpose, and maybe it's people that has to be in a different sector. But for us, we believe that retaining the people and has people that is bicultural is going to be very important. It's not only to be bilingual, probably be bicultural is one of the biggest strengths that we need to find on the talent.
Definitely, and it's a cultural shift that we're going through. And I'm not sure that we're actually prepared to have this 70% of reshaping our sectors. In the educational sector, for example, we're still training talent based on just titles. And for 200 years, we've been doing the same thing. Some of the universities have changed a little bit, have added a little bit more value with having companies go within the training process and the design process of the next projects that they need from talent. But I don't think that necessarily that we have been all in this ecosystem that it's prepared to reskill, retrain, help people understand that the reality that they're gonna face, it's not the reality that we're living in right now. So when you finish up a degree, 4 years, it's probably obsolete. And if you're not having that baseline of resilience, adaptability, of leadership and communication, then you're going out there without any of the basic skills that are needed right now for going into the labor force. And in this sense, how do companies can address this part of having your own training? Are you trying to add this part of just use AI as a tool for everything? Or are you really having this closeness with the leadership so that they can reshape what it's needed for them for the future?
Right, so we are actually quite a forward-leaning company in that aspect. I think that being sort of small gives us that flexibility. So we tried a plethora of things. We've tried all the way from using it to help salespeople build better presentations, to sort of keep track of what's being said in meetings and consolidate to-dos. We tried several things. In the end, I would say that we're in the point of time where it's not very clear, as you said, right? The careers, you study something today, 5 years probably won't exist. It's not clear how the path that you're following is going to play out in the future. We're sort of in the 90s, the dot-com bubble for AI, right? And we know a lot of the names that are playing right now and right now are like big in AI. 10 years from now, probably one of the small ones will be the Google of tomorrow and whatnot. And I feel that for companies that is also true, right? Right now, one of the guidance we give and we follow is the most human-to-human interaction layers of the org, meaning the sales teams, the buyer to seller. They are informed by AI, but that we know will remain as they are for at least a bit, right? So the need to upscale that or to change that, it's not as much as right now it is for teams like finance or deductions or anything that is way more mechanical, to call it so. So I would say it's it's sort of a quilt, right? It takes many shapes depending on where you're standing at. And as a whole, we know it's going somewhere, but for me at least, it's not very clear the end point. Although change is like very much something that's happening. And we're trying to prepare the best we can for each piece that we're seeing advancing in certain ways. So that's how we're tackling.
Luis, what do you see when you are looking for talent and you're trying to hire someone that's going to add value to the company? And it's not only going to perform one specific job and you see that they have a great title from a great Ivy League university or whatever it's needed, and certifications and micro-credentials and all of that. They're competing at the same level. They all have those basic skills. How do you manage to think about hiring people or automatizing kind of jobs and going more for an analyst that uses data and uses tools and uses technology? What's your take on this? How is a company that has this great deal of things that have to be done by humans and adding value in the humanity of things, but you also have a lot of jobs that are depending on analyzing data and automatization and all of that. How do you balance that part of hiring people versus tools?
I think precisely that's where we need to seek that balance. I think the value in the people or those skills that you mentioned is the ones that you cannot train. And it's precisely that contact with people. It's that analytical thinking. So where I think the AI tools are going to help us is precisely to arm up or give the tools for those kind of people that have those skills that it's more difficult to train because you have to inherently have them to continue developing. In that sense, I think that's where AI, let's say at a corporate or a more managerial level, I think AI tools is going to help with that data analytics so that the people that have that analytical thinking take those tools and make better decisions. And even at the different level, and I think, Rodrigo, you mentioned, for us in the floor, in what we are really is the guest experience. So we want to enhance that customer experience, but we have to have certain minimal requirements for operations. And it's how to file an insurance claim, how to prepare popcorn that are mechanical. So I think that's back to that, where is the balance? We need those set of skills, but those are processes, there are things. So if we can provide them through these tools, that basic, so that we can actually rely on what it's the people interaction, I think that's where the balance is, and that's where really AI is enhancing everybody's development.
Manolo, in the agro-industry sector, are we seeing like this binational collaboration, and are we seeing Mexican talent as cheap talent or as a creative talent? And how can we burst that bubble and think bigger than that and see where we're adding value and not just being cheap of a labor force? Where do you see that going?
I believe that as an agricultural company in Mexico, sometimes we believe that AI and this kind of tools doesn't mean anything for us, but sometimes that is a big mistake. And I believe in the talent from Mexico because in one way or another, the creativity, the resiliency, and the way that they see challenges as an opportunity is something that we can take full advantage. One thing that for us is very important because we produce berries. Raspberries last only 12 days after harvest. So for us, it's very critical that we move it with speed. And everything that we can do in order to use the technology to create a demand planning is very important. And another issue that we face a lot is when we ship product to Germany, to the Middle East, by air freight or by ocean, whatever we can do with technology to assure that the quality that we're going to ship is in the great conditions in order to arrive well to the markets is also critical. And we are doing a lot of things with the AI to detect issues on quality at the origin instead of catching those issues at the destiny.
Well, did you,
If I may, now that you mentioned it's Mexico seen as cheap talent, I would like to address that because it's something that I've faced directly, which is, and maybe it's not a pretty thing to say, but you get way more bang for your buck if you hire in Mexico. Even in the professional arena, right? You get a seasoned professional with 18 years of experience doing the exact same thing that you're asking for someone in the US to do at a way lower rate, right? So I think nearshoring is real, and I feel AI won't do anything but accelerate that, right? Because AI, for me, it sort of builds a bridge or an interface with which you can have good professionals adapt quicker to a different market and makes a lot of the skills they currently have for way less money translatable in an easier way to what's required from a US role. So just like putting that in the table.
and yeah, and they see this great value added to the job, to hiring, and we just don't understand it yet. But we have graduating from engineering in Mexico, we have 130,000 engineers. The US, and it's the 8th largest engineering graduate generations right now. The US has almost triple of that. So it's not the lack of that talent, but the thing is that we're still producing as the educational sector and still hiring, on the other hand, from titles or degrees from the past instead of this great talent that can adapt to future needs. So where's Manolo? Where's that added value on the logistical side? Is it quality? Is it it's a mix of everything's certifications, or where do you see that your company or any other Mexican company that wants to come out here or hire Mexican talent or export U.S. talent to Mexico, where do you see that intertwine in the middle?
I think you mentioned something that is very important. It's not only responsibility of the academy to start creating programs for the new needs of the market, but also it's a responsibility for us as a company to really modify the job descriptions. Because in many cases, we're still using an old job description that today is not responding to the appetite of the market or to the needs of the talent. So I think it's important, in order to attract the people and be successful, to start from that basic. And in many cases, what you mentioned, logistics is probably one of the areas where we see more opportunities with technology, but for us also marketing. I think the marketing is very important, because when you see the products that we sell that has a lot of health attributes, if we don't communicate those properly to the end consumer, we're going to be only another commodity. For us, it's very important to move from the commodity into something that is more value added and products that drive affordable nutrition for the American families.
Anyone else want to jump into that?
I think, as I mentioned at the beginning, it's precisely that. No, it's the responsibility of the companies also to structure that path and to develop that. No, because right now, before you could have one position and it would be the same job for the following 10 years. I know, and you would see people staying in the same position for 10 years. And now that doesn't happen. Because why? Because even the needs within the company are changing. So even the jobs are changing. But I think that's where we need to move, and I think we're talking where I think nowadays everything has to be tagged. And I think we have to start moving away from that, because your position, your name has to change and has to evolve precisely to adapt. So for me, adaptability is the key word of what it's coming. Adaptability from from the students, from the workers, from the company, and from the environment. Precisely because of all these things or moving parts, we need to adapt and be able to up the game.
Rodrigo, what do you see on the changes that have gone throughout the last generation of Mexican? How do we, in the U.S., how do we see Mexican companies or Mexican talent? Do we still see it as that trust or mistrust as in the past? For example, China, you always thought about products made in China were cheaper. And that's the full view instead of having context of how they managed to change that perspective and now doing things even better than anywhere else. And how do the U.S. market see Mexico? And now that we're in this industry of nostalgia, selling nostalgia, do we sell Mexico as a nostalgic product, talent, or how do you see it?
Yeah, I can answer from a consumer standpoint. So our business is consumer packaged goods, so we have to be very close up to the consumer. We are analyzing it all the time, preferences, panel data. So something that sort of is always fascinating to me is that we have brands that have been historical Mexican brands like Costeña, Jumex, that have been within Mexico for over 100 years, and they're pretty much unchanged from what they were at the very beginning. They're cans, they're very simple products. And they started in the US about 40 years ago. It's been a slow curve. But when you analyze the market today, you see that consumers from those products are in their majority non-Hispanic at this point, right? So for me, that's like, it opens up a very sort of hidden truth that Mexicanity, Hispanicity, if you would, has taken a place into the cultural acumen of the United States as something that people seek for and value, just as your soy sauces or things that probably have an ethnic origin but have now become like a staple, right? And I feel like the U.S. being the melting pot that it is, like the model, the everything that allows for that to happen, it's just like it happens slowly. You don't realize, and then at one point, you're catering to consumers you never, like in your wildest dream 40 years ago, you have thought you would ever get to them or get them interested. So for me, that's fascinating. I feel that on the talent side, pretty much the same has happened. I moved I was born in Mexico, but moved from Chile. I was living in Chile. My first entry point in the US was New York. And I arrived there, and being Mexican was just a detail, right? I didn't find many prejudice or a set expectation, right? Other than he's gonna be late. But no, but really it was sort of a welcoming environment where you were judged by what you wear, and that was not even so much of a topic. Of course, there's an immigration issue in the country, and that has more to do with its legality or not. But I would say that for professionals that are looking for opportunities here, that's played less of a role than I ever had seen before.
And regarding what we're here for example, the green skills and bringing this sustainability role to our companies, energy management being one of the top growing parts or functions that are not labeled as green per se, but they're doing all these functions and not only compliance and reports. But how are you structuring this part on the sustainable part of the logistics chain and supply chain and everything? How do you see it, Manolo?
For us, the sustainability is not only a PR situation. We believe it's something that allows us to operate with more efficiency. And for us, it's becoming more relevant because the retailers like Aldi, Target, Kroger, Walmart, Costco, they are looking for companies that really invest in sustainability. And for us, the most important part of sustainability is to give stable work opportunities to the people. We provide housing to the people close to the farms. We hire more than 5,000 people in the peak of the season. So for us, it's very important to have that transformation of the agricultural workers by providing a good salary, but at the same time to have the right conditions for working for them.
Do you see AI affecting this role in energy management and making it easier, or do you think that it's going to be more difficult?
So AI by itself is not very sustainable at the moment. Point number one. But I mean, sure, there's optimizations to be made. For the industry I work in, it's very straightforward, right? We have plants, we automate as much as we can, source it from like as clean electricity as we can get. But right now, electric freight is not a thing, so that's a big thing we do, distribute products across. I also like, and that's for specifically the company, right? But even broader, in a broader context, I would say that sustainability has sort of lost momentum to some extent, right? And that is more like political or like a wave. I would say that it's something really important, but I feel that there's a shift going on, right? And to some extent, at least the narrative out there has switched a bit to, instead of how do we stop this, now it's more how do we manage it, right? And that thing, it's AI for sure could help. As soon as it stops consuming as much water or whatever it does. But yeah, it will help optimize. That'll be my answer. But it wouldn't be a game changer. That's what I'm trying to say. I don't feel that it's going to be, all right, sure, AI will solve climate change and all of this. Not to that extent.
And in that sense, Luis, where do you see that sustainability starts being an investment instead of just being part of just the ads and everything?
Exactly, and I think precisely that's the point I wanted to make, that it has to come to a shift. That's where the tipping point should be, where it's actually giving a return. So I think it's definitely, we see the importance. I think their commitment is there for most of the companies, particularly Cinépolis. We have invested in solar energy, in eolic energy. So we're trying to shift, but it's difficult when there is not a specific or tangible return. So I think, as Roy was mentioning, I think the shift has to come almost along with the whole industry, with all the environment, so that it turns out cost reduction, to your point, AI is that evolution where costs now go down, or the efficiency or the performance of all those energies increases to the point that is no longer an expense. It's an actual investment that yields a return, and I think that could be precisely the tipping point. It's difficult because you have to continue the efforts so that this turns around. No, it's not, you cannot stop and magically one day we will wake up and it's making it. So we need to continue making those efforts, but it has to be joint. For instance, we have to build a new building in California, has to, by law, has to have solar panels now. But we see the consumption in terms of spend, we do not see an advantage compared to the ones we don't have. So that's where I mean that it slowly.
How do you translate it to being an investment? How do you make it like really apparent that you're doing something that it's not only adding value in your portfolio, but also making money?
You block the Strait of Hormuz?
I think it's two things. First, to identify, again, from everything is numbers, but it's identifying the core things where it could make a change. So for us, for instance, in our operation, energy is one of our key drivers. So that's where probably our investment in sustainability can come. Manuel was saying it's on the labor market. So it's finding those niche or those points in which your industry, your company can really take advantage of those small changes, and little by little, I think we can make a difference.
Going back to talent, are we still seeing in the market that it's difficult to hire someone, or are we seeing that there is not so much of a tolerance for unskilled on the new tools use or the new retain attention to doing the job? Where do you see the struggle going in this part?
Right. So I would say that the main issue is still finding the right talent. I think it's still easy to hire someone. I think you get a lot of not the right people, and it also weirdly is because of AI. So AI optimized my CV for this role. Does that make you the right person or the person I'm looking for? I don't know. Hey, Claude, do this Excel that I was sent as a case and now present it. Oof. Like it's sort of like it's a smokescreen. It makes hiring more difficult in the sense that you need to use as well new tools to sort of prove if you're getting the right person or not. Or is it just someone that they adapted very well to the role, or did passed the filters very well, or understood the filters very, very well with the help of AI. I would say that the talent it's out there. I think there's great people out there that are brilliant, and that companies are fighting for them, and they can still be found. They can still be motivated to be retained. I feel that the quest for good talent remains as ever as a task of motivation, right? Giving them the vision that within your company they can find the path they're looking for, they can upscale, they can move forward, and that will bring them also something in return in the long term other than payment. And that in this day and age, I think it's more relevant than ever because, as I said at the beginning, right? AI powers top talent way more than it helps not top talent. So getting those people is essential for any company that's planning to have serious growth and serious impact on as a company.
Yes, Manuel.
Yeah, something that I experienced over the last 5 years and probably after the COVID is that forces us to move with the speed, but in many cases, the speed is not quality when you are looking for talent. What I find in the last 5 years in looking for talent is the people that came from a headhunter or probably a resume that is enhanced by AI, you make a lot of mistakes and the people doesn't last what you expect. Yep. The best talent that I hire in the last 3 years is people that came from universities. Universities that you have a good relation and they send you talent or people that they see that they have a passion for what they do. And for us, if we bring someone that is great on the skills or technical skills, but doesn't have passion for agriculture, normally doesn't last longer. This is not a sexy business, and it's a business that requires a lot of effort. So the people that has the passion is the people that is going to stay longer with us.
And I think, I believe that is the evolution that we need to do within the educational system. So we truly need to transform the way that we educate by bringing companies or the productive sector into the teaching part of the process. If we're not doing it, like for example, what we do in our university is we bring in people that are studying medicine. They want to become doctors. And they have that exposure since the first semester of evaluating and giving, accompanying by a doctor, a licensed doctor, but they start doing their hands-on learning process. And you see that kind of education that really is, they're in the center of the productive part of their what their future is going to look like. And if we don't do that with the rest of the programs, then we become obsolete because we're just saying these are the skills that are needed for the future generations, but we actually don't know because we're doing it from an academic standpoint or a research standpoint or just by sharing knowledge, as we say it. But you're actually in the workforce. You're actually on the battlefield every day, knowing what kind of skills are needed so that we can train better professionals for the future. So in this sense, what skills do you think, other than using technological tools, AI, they have to be good at it now, but what other skills, for example, the sustainable skills, the green skills, what other skills do you think that we're missing out when you get a newly graduated from whatever university? What kind of skills are you looking for, Luis?
So I think for me, sorry if I'm so repetitive today, but it's adaptability. It's understanding how the person will face a situation and a changing situation, and how they will analyze, they will propose, and understanding that they won't know anything. Because it is right now, the game for me is not knowing everything, is know where and how to find things. So that for me are the key skill sets that we need to develop or to seek in the new candidates. And I think it's on our end, it's investing enough time precisely on selecting that talent. For instance, something that has helped us for us in hiring is we created camps. So we invite 20 candidates over a weekend to the office. We have different dynamics. We have different leaders checking on the activities. And at the end of the weekend, then we select 3 or 4, and we have a rotational program. That has yielded us the best talent in the company. Right. But it requires a lot of investment in terms of time, no? Because it is 10, 15 leaders in the whole weekend, being there, preparing, and having all that. But that's where you have the environment where you can really see those skills, to your point. Because right now it's a Zoom interview, it's reading a resume, and you think you can have it in 30 minutes. So I think that's where also patience and investment can help us really see those skills. Because it is, right, once you actually act upon those, is that you can see those skills on the candidates.
And if I may, if I think, because I was thinking, right, adaptability, sure, leadership, sure, but I think those are things that can be taught. You know, you cannot be like, we'll teach you to be as very adaptable in the curriculum. I think that some basic things that I think they're gonna still be relevant in the future. It's like critical thinking, systems thinking, problem solving. Just like get people to sort of thinking a certain way, or actually go through like how to think about things, critical thinking. I think those are going to still be relevant, and that's something that will be sort of multiplied when you use AI. But I would see that baseline, I don't see that going away anytime soon, and I see it missing in a lot of the graduates I encounter here and there.
What do you think as companies, as part of the leadership of your companies, that you should do to have that bond with any university that you see fit for your specific industry, and going strong with the university so that you can ask for that? That's the big ask, is these are the skills that are missing, that we need, that we are lacking. So how do we help you with the curriculum, from the design, from the way of work, from coming into our company to do a co-op and an internship and blah, blah, blah? How would you approach that? Would you be willing to go to a university here in Texas, that they have great universities? How do you do that? Or is it something that it's attractive, or just let universities do their thing and we'll do our thing and we'll manage like we're doing so far?
No, I truly believe in what you are putting in the table, because that level of collaboration between the academic and the real world is necessary. Probably we used to do it more in the past, and today, for one reason or another, those internship programs start going away. But I believe that is something that has to happen. And it doesn't matter who started, but I think it's something that we need to start doing as yesterday, because it's essential that the companies provide that need of the market, and the academy start putting those in their programs. In that case, probably the last year of every bachelor degree, they spend it half and half between the professional environment and the academic environment. I think that is going to be critical for the future.
Anyone want to jump in?
I'm getting some signals that,
Oh,
like, we're getting the cane.
last 5 minutes. Yeah, perfect. No?
I would say that one single company, it's hard for one single company to go there and tell the university, hey, do this, and then the university will listen to that single company. I feel it's more of a group of companies, or like that they consolidate in any way and sort of have the commitment to go out there and build the capabilities within their industries, and then on the university side, something similar, right? So you have to have an aggregator of sorts. Universities
like a
are
consortium.
huge. Exactly, a consortium, I don't know, a forum, an association. I don't know the right word for it, but it feels like something that's had to be solved from that front. Whereas like a single company, I go in and tell them, hey, I need this, this, and that. And like, who are you, you know? So, yeah.
And within our companies, maybe that makes it easier to say, instead of going to a university, we just need to hire people that or have a function that can retrain our people, that have those skill sets that are needed for the job that has to be done right now and the near future, right? Is that something that it's probably a Band-Aid to help with this part of the process, or do universities have to go and look harder to the companies and knock on the door and having that space open for dialogue and for you to know that they're eager to have companies come and help us train our students that are going to the labor force? How do you see that reskilling?
So I say it's a bit of both. I think both have to play a part. I'd say companies, it depends on your ambitions and how like forward-leaning you are. I'd say that the best companies do it. The best companies have a solid program on how to upskill their workers, and they're thinking 10 years ahead. It's hard to do so, but they are. And in the measure that those companies can come together and sort of share that knowledge and be a leadership on that forums and interact with the universities, in that measure that they're going to be successful. I'm getting some cues here, but yeah.
So guys, unfortunately, time's up, and I want to thank you again. It's incredible. We could stay for hours just talking about, we did last night, actually, but thank you very much. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.